to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. I knew right there I was supposed to say I'm something, but I couldn't remember what it was. Yes, my head is definitely triggered from my party yesterday. I had a ninth sobriety anniversary garden party, and it was absolutely perfect. My psychiatrist is going to be very excited for me because I did something amazing for myself. I got it catered by Wegmans. So my husband went and picked that stuff up. I got the perfect amount of food. All the guests brought flowers, and since it was raining outside, we got to do it inside, and there were flowers everywhere. It was beautiful. Everybody was just so generous with their time to come spend it with me, and we ate and we did crafts. And my hope with the crafts was that it was going to bring the level of noise and movement down at the party. And let me just say, that was a brilliant idea and it worked completely. So I think that helped my head a lot to not have as much movement. And everybody just sat around the dining room table. I mean, of course, there was too many people. Of course, there was too many people to sit around the dining room table. So there were people standing around in different areas. And I just was so happy and grateful and feeling a lot of love yesterday. It was so nice. It was so nice. So today I just slept for about 4 hours. I was out cold. My cognitive language and memory is definitely affected. And, I was already struggling a bit last week, I should say. We're at Monday now. So, not sure how this will go. We'll see, but you guys are patient with me, and I'm grateful for that as well. And also, hot off the press, we have a new Sprite, and maybe it's not new, but it's new to me. It is tropical flavor, tropical mix Sprite, and it is delectable. So go out and buy yourself some Sprite. And I wish Sprite would pay me for that advertisement. Okay, what I wanted to talk about today is the topic in my morning meeting was called freedom from bondage. And what that means in sobriety is there's a place somewhere in one of our literature books. It says freedom from bondage of self. And so that is like freedom from feeling like I have to be self-sufficient. We grow up, I've talked about this before, we grow up depending on our parents and our siblings and our teachers. And as we get older, we learn how to be self-sufficient. Well, and that is celebrated, our self-sufficiency. When we hit our 20s, like my kids are right now, we celebrate being able to do stuff on your own. And the I think the key right there is teaching that it's okay to ask for help. Right when you're getting to that point where you're becoming more self-sufficient, we have to learn how important it is to be able to ask for help and to do it, to ask for help. There's a difference between knowing I need help and actually asking for it. And then there's a third piece to it, and that's accepting it, accepting the help. So self-sufficiency, as much as I learned throughout, growing up, that was a good thing. And I needed to know how to balance my own bank account. I needed to know how to work. That was a hard one for me. I needed to learn how to take care of my house and take care of everybody and everything. And I started to lack in taking care of myself and in asking other people for help. I think a good lesson that I learned, surprisingly, as a people leader at work in my career was learning how to delegate. And in life, it's not called delegation, but in recovery, I've started to think of it as that. It's helped me. It's helped me feel okay with asking for help and accepting help. I've started to look at it from that perspective. Okay, I'm just going to act like I'm a people leader because I know how to do that. I did it for years. Um, I was a people leader a heck of a lot longer and bossing people around a heck of a lot longer than I have been asking for help. So, it's wanting help, it's asking for help and accepting help. And there's a freedom in that. And that's what we're talking about, like bondage of self, freedom from bondage of self, freedom from the addiction, freedom from the obsession, from resentments, and from that emotional numbing that removed my ability to make reasonable decisions. It took away my ability to choose. I just have to, side note, I had a very troubling dream while I was sleeping this afternoon. I'm not going to go into it. I have very, very vivid dreams, and I had the most bizarre dream. And for some reason, it's just like stuck in my head. Maybe I should do an episode on that. I don't know. It was weird. Okay, it's just stuck in my head. Sorry. Sorry for the side note. Um, so it is when, you know how I always talk about my wanter and turning off my wanter and doing the next right thing? Well, it is when my wanter aligns with my shoulder that I have freedom, you know? Um, when my wanter aligns with the next right thing, that is freedom from self, I think. That's my opinion. Um, so in my story this morning, the author said how simple, and I agreed with this, which is why I wrote it down, how simple life seems that you just need to come up with a plan. And when you pair that plan with a little bit of courage, then your life is just going to go the way that you expect it to go. And that is what I've been doing all this time. The first half of my life, when I shouldn't say that, I was drinking the first half of my life. From the age of 42 to 50, it was working. I just came up with a plan. What do I want to do with my life? Where do I want to go? What do I want? Who do I want to be? And then I just got some courage and I read a few books to help me build that courage. And then I just started going. And what I wasn't expecting is to be met with this big obstacle, which is when my willpower is not enough. That that life, I don't control life. And it was really an interesting realization because for the first 5 years of my sobriety, I had felt like I had really been um, throwing up my hands and being like, I accept help and it's thy will, not mine be done. And and I've mentioned this, I think, one time in this podcast. When I get on my knees at night to say my nightly prayers, I say, thy will be done, not mine. And when I would say that in the first, so I said that for probably about a year before I had my stroke. And I'm bringing this up because what I was thinking when I said, thy will be done, not mine, I was thinking of other people. I was thinking like, it's kind of funny to me. I was thinking, yeah, thy will be done with my daughter. Thy will be done with my son. Like, I can't control what they are going to do with their lives. That's what I was thinking of, you know? I'm always picturing, like, when I say the serenity prayer or something, you know, I'm always picturing something in my mind that that prayer applies to. And the same goes with just the simple, thy will be done, not mine. Um, I'll be thinking, you know, if somebody's sick, thy will be done, not mine. If something's going on with my husband's job, thy will be done, not mine. If my son is struggling with something, thy will be done, not mine. I need to have faith that my higher power is, I'm sharing that with my daughter and my son and my husband. Like, that's what I think of. That's what my mind creates, my imaginary world that helps me deal with things. And what I didn't expect is obviously to have this stroke and be left with a disability, have to leave my job, and go into medical retirement. And so when I got on my knees and said, thy will be done, not mine, before I went to bed, after I had my stroke, I was like, oh, wait a minute. So this applies to everything. So it's when my willpower, there's nothing that I can do to change what is happening. And I mean, I get that intellectually, I understand it, but when you live it, it takes on a whole new meaning, you know? Yeah. That's all I have to say about that. It was fascinating how that happened to me. And I've said this a few times over the past couple weeks that with chaos and fear and pain comes clarity. I am leaning further into the tools of my program, further into my concept of my higher power and my concept of God. I'm leaning into that stronger than I ever was, before my stroke and after I got sober, and stronger than I think I could. I think I was capable of back then. I needed something bigger to happen for me to be able to go deeper. Um, am I being grateful like I've been talking about? Like, maybe one day I'll be grateful that I had my stroke? No, I'm still not feeling that way. I don't feel like, oh, well, thank God I had my stroke so that I can have a deeper faith. No, I don't feel that way. I feel like maybe we could have found another way to have a deeper faith. But that's what happened for me. And it's, you know, I believe that I could have gotten there. It would have taken longer. And I'm sure that there is a long, long path for me in faith. The more that I have that spiritual hunger and participate in practicing the steps and doing this self-analysis constantly, that I will continue to deepen my faith. Um, Early, before I got sober, or right when I got sober, there was this undeniable void that was inside of me. And when things get hard, I feel that void again. Um, and that's where practicing repetitively, like I talked about yesterday, repetitively doing that spotting, that inventory, the spot inventory, the daily inventory, and then that more comprehensive inventory with a sponsor, that helps me fill that void. And it's it's interesting also that drinking for me, and I think for a lot of people, is giving that instant gratification. And sobriety for me is about patience and being able to have faith that when I'm practicing these things, I can look at the others before me in my fellowship and see how this has been applied to their life, to all of their challenges. And they talk about it in meetings, how they do the spot checks and what do they do at night? Do they say that prayer that I do? Where have I been resentful and afraid and angry and all of that stuff and fearful? Like, is there somewhere where I can make an amends? Like, what were my motives today when I was interacting with my sister or when I talked to my dad or whatever? Like, what were my motives? Were they good? Then great. I give myself a pat on the back. Like, I need to also celebrate when I'm doing things correctly, when I have that peace of mind. And my peace of mind grows in proportion with the peace of mind that I believe that I create for other people. The when I can do things for other people, when I can speak kindly to other people, there is a peace of mind that is unparalleled. When I can give that away, I get it, and I get it fully. That is how I feel serenity when I can feel that way, that everything is aligned. I'm treating people nicely and I'm giving what I can give. I'm giving back what was so freely given to me. One thing that came up this morning also in the meeting is I was just thinking, I'm doing pretty well, right? My mind is staying on track. But you guys know, whenever I say that, I start losing my train of thought. But I'm doing pretty good. I'm kind of excited. So I hope I didn't just jinx myself. One thing that came up in the morning this morning was how when I was drinking, and I don't know if this is related or not, we'll see where it goes, but when I was drinking with other people like me. And over time, the more that I was drinking, I it was harder for me to find people like me. They just weren't out there. There were people that was drinking with that were like, uh, just started pulling away from me, and then I also started isolating because I was a little embarrassed by how much I drank. I didn't want people to see how much I drank. I mean, not that didn't happen a lot. That was more like when I was in a professional atmosphere and there was alcohol. I couldn't drink professionally. That doesn't, I couldn't drink in a way that was acceptable with people I work with. I was always going to drink like I was at a kegger. I couldn't drink less than that. I couldn't just have one at a dinner party or at a happy hour with work people. So it became harder and harder to find people like me. And what I realized this morning was that I couldn't find people like me because people like me were in Alcoholics Anonymous. People like me were not at the bars anymore. They were getting help. Um, my social my social abilities were diminishing. Um, and so at my party yesterday, there was a point where we were all sitting around, and there was probably like, I think there was about 13 people there, I think. And there was a point where we were all sitting around and we started talking a little bit about our drunkalogs, and we were revealing some commonalities. It was funny that there were a couple people there that were not in the program, and they're just close friends and supportive of my sobriety journey. But we were talking about some different occurrences like falling up the stairs, falling down the stairs, falling into a bush, all of these things. And and it reaffirmed for me that I was with, once again, people like me. We have a different circumstance now where we're not in our prime where we're displaying that behavior. But now we're all on the other side of that. And that was so nice to just take a moment to remember why we were there. Um, and it was just really heartwarming for me. And then after we were talking about that, we started to talk a little bit about that that spirituality side of it. And then I started to feel that peace of mind. And so this morning, then I was reminded that that peace of mind for me gets bigger, better, whatever you want to say, when I give it away. And the people at the party were so nice to me. I had painted this canvas with some flowers, and then I had like a ton of empty stems. And so the project was that I had a bunch of cutout flowers that I ordered on Etsy, and everybody that attended was asked to write one word on a flower that describes either our journey together, um, their sobriety journey, whatever word moves them today. Write that word on the flower and then stick it on the canvas. And it turned out to be just beautiful. I'll post a picture of it on my social media, but it was really great. Maybe I'll make it the thumbnail for this episode so you can see it. But it ended up being like, when I looked at it, was words about, some people put words about me, and like encouraging and grateful. And it was nice. It was nice. That's all I can say. It was just super nice. So I think I strayed away from the main topic here. So, well, not really. So, self-sufficiency, I wouldn't be there. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be celebrating unless I reached that point, where I had freedom from bondage of self, and I was able to start asking people. And it is freaking uncomfortable when you're not used to asking for help. It is uncomfortable to think it. It's uncomfortable to ask for it. And it's uncomfortable to accept it. Yesterday at the end of the party, there were like three people who asked me if they could do my dishes before they left. And I said no. I I said no because I don't like when people do my dishes because they end up going in the wrong place and then it stresses me out. That might be bizarre, but some people understood what I was saying. So I am still challenged with accepting help sometimes when I just want to freaking do something myself because I like it done myself. So yes, the dishes stayed in the sink until this morning just because Autumn, I'm not talking to you, darling. Off. She thinks I'm talking to her because there's nobody else in the room. I'm not talking to you, but I'll pretend like I am. So the dishes were still in the sink until this morning because of my head, but I would rather that than somebody do my do my dishes. So I'm still challenged with asking for help and accepting help. I like things done my way. There's a little bit of control freak. I don't think I'm a freak, but that's what they call it. So I'm still searching for that freedom on a daily basis. And freedom is a state of mind, really. It is when I practice the principles of my program and all of my affairs, then I do align. My wanter does align with my shoulder, meaning that sounds terrible. My wanter does align with the next right thing, but I got to work on it every day. Every day, I get to work on it. I don't got to. I get to, and with that comes that freaking freedom, and it's so gosh, it's so nice. It's so nice, and I that's why I like to talk about it. So I'll end on this. It's about 5 o'clock. I got to feed the dogs. That's why Autumn is looking at me. But I I was walking upstairs to do the podcast, and I was telling Autumn, my best friend, that it's time to do the podcast. And Boris was in tow, and I looked at Boris and I said, "It's my medication, Boris." And that's what it has become, being able to come here and talk about what has been going on today and what's going on between my ears and my gratitude. I come here and talk a lot about gratitude, and I hope that those of you who listen on a daily basis, or even if you just check in every now and then, which I'm grateful for as well, that you have someone that you share your gratitude with, because it there's something different that happens when we speak our gratitude out loud as well. So I would encourage that. Thank you for coming. It has turned from a very gloomy, pouring down rain day to a sunny, nice, cool in the shade day. And I just took Autumn and Boris out for a tiny little walk. So go outside and breathe in some fresh air, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.